Hello viewers and welcome once again to another edition of our women's program Karimpe. Today we are very delighted because we are in the office of the Chairperson of the Meghalaya State Commission for Women, and as you know, she has just joined recently. She is none other than Iamonlang Syiem. Of course, Madam Syiem has previously held many other official positions and designations of responsibility, but this one is her latest one, and I think this is a responsible position, a challenging one also, considering the number of issues that the state still continues to face when it comes to women. So we will be interacting with her from Doordarshan Shillong, and here we go ahead and bring you onto the camera. Madam, a very, very warm welcome to you to our women's program Karimpe today.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Congratulations,
My
firstly,
pleasure too.
For taking over, as I said, a very responsible position. Would you say it's a very responsible and challenging position too?
For me, it's just like it's an assignment, you know, and whatever comes, we have to do what we have to do.
Absolutely. But then, having said so, you've got such varied experiences, ma'am. You come from the academic background, you actually majored in English, but then you went on to take over the responsibility of being a sociologist when you were a professor in St. Edmund's College, Shillong, in the Department of Sociology. So how did this movement happen from English to sociology?
Yeah. Actually, my first love has always been literature.
Okay.
So I scribble a lot of things also, writings and all that. But then when sociology just opened very recently during those days, so, you know, we were wondering what it's all about and all that, you know. So when my friends went, actually it wasn't a deliberate choice, you can say. I just kind of gravitated towards it because I thought that, you know, this Johnny head and air kind of thing has to come down, you know. So I thought that maybe the context of literature and society would be more relevant to me at that time. That's how I ended up in sociology.
Yeah, absolutely, because I think that's the right subject for you too, considering the fact that you have been holding so many positions. So many. I mean, earlier to that, you were in the Meghalaya State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, right? And that is another issue which really is bothersome. So I think sociology is a very befitting subject for you, would you say?
Absolutely. I think everybody should have a knowledge of sociology. It means about relationships. You know, it doesn't matter which background you have, but if you have a more professional kind of perspective, it makes more sense, and perhaps you can kind of have more clarity of thought and so on, you know, to go about what you need to do.
Absolutely,
you know?
And so you were always, you know, educated here in Shillong, in the convent school.
Born and bred.
Born and bred, yes.
In fact, I'd gone to, I can't claim loyalty to any school or educational institute, you know, because I think I've been to about 9 schools. In Tura also I'd studied in St. Saviour's, and then in Haflong I was in St. Agnes, but convent, yeah.
Yes, and that makes a difference.
I don't know, it's an elitist
At
kind of
least
thought to say
it
that.
polishes up our English speaking skills.
Yep, English, I did struggle, you know, I suppose that's why, but you have to have a certain love for the language, you know. For me, it's like, I have a dictionary and I tell everybody, keep a dictionary and read and read and read and read, like I just devour books, you know.
And since we are still in the language, I thought I would also take your understanding. Why is it that children of today, madam, are moving away from their own language and opts more for the English language than their own mother tongue?
Yeah, a lot of factors, no? I mean, there are many factors of change. Like you have the Western influence, Westernization, urbanization, all those factors are there. And also it makes sense, especially in Shillong, where hardly anybody will speak the same language, obviously.
Right,
so you have to speak that. And then, of course, these days it's Khalish, Bengalish and whatever, you know. I think it makes sense because there's a limitation on our language, you know, the way that we communicate with each other. So it doesn't, the concept of what you want to say, I mean, it's hard while you struggle for your own, I mean, words in your indigenous language, you know. So,
and the world is a changing place, evolving place all the time.
We have to be relevant,
right?
But at the same time, yeah, we have to go back to our roots and find out like some words which are becoming
because
extinct.
some would say that, you know, we are moving away from our roots, embracing westernization too much.
I think roots is in our mind and our spirit. I believe that. So it depends, you know, if your thinking is like this soil, then it will spring out like that. But if you have depth and you look at life, society and all that, your roots will never be shaken. I know that.
Yeah, and you have quite a bit of philosophy within you, because you know you have often used to pass me some of your thoughts, some of those beautiful quotations or some stories, and that goes to show the kind of personality that you are.
Everybody can achieve that. You see, we have to live beyond the surface, no? And I think we have the potential. Every human being has that potential to go deeper, but we respond from the shallows mostly, no? Because we don't have time, because life intrudes. But I think, and this is where woman comes in also, you know, that we need to introspect and go deeper. Then, like, you're in touch with yourself, then you can kind of not react only, but you respond mindfully, and you know. So it's a lifetime of you know, being centered. It's a lifetime of wanting to do more, be more, you know. And I think every woman has that dream, but they don't have the time or the inclination or the skill or the knowledge how to do it.
Right. I mean, since you raised these issues now, I mean, do you think in matrilineal Meghalaya, though women is supposedly in a better position, but in reality, how do you look at the woman of Meghalaya?
See, matrilineal, there's this fallacy that is there. No? Matrilineal is actually, it is couched in a patriarchal package, because you can't divorce one from the other actually. So it's a mindset also. Basically, all society started with that, you know, the mother-centered and so on. Then it became father-centered because of structural development and so on, of the mind and of the society and so on. So I would say that this is a very complex kind of subject, no? And I'm not pat with my answers, because you need...
You're speaking from your heart, yeah.
Yeah, no, you need research, you need, because see, matrilineal is in a state of transition. So you can't see clearly when you're moving.
Right.
So there's the traditional, the conservative, but even that is being blurred, you know. And then there's a future, which a lot of changes and so on. So matrilineal is in transition. So it's not fair to say, like, you don't put it in a, you know, take a black and white photograph and put it in a mantelpiece and say that's matrilineal. So I am not, I mean, I could say a lot of things, obviously, but there has been too many people who have misquoted, you know, stuff. All you need to do is actually, we need more researchers, we need more people, we need more of the word that is written rather than just oral, because a lot of people will have their opinions. So I'm hesitant about that. I hope that in the commission we can do something, you know, of more research-based kind of... Now
that we have come back and touched the word commission, because as I said, you've just taken over. Of course, you've just taken over. You're very fresh in it. You're yet to really put your 2 feet and feel and go to the people. I'm sure you will be doing that. But having said so, which are some of the issues in the state you feel very strongly about, and that, you know, as a commission, you will work towards it?
You know, we have to look in the context of society. You know, when we talk about issues, like, again, you have to have your own observation as well as the observation in every day you pick up, you know, these nuances of conversations and so on, you know. So the importance, I think, for every woman, especially in this position, is to listen to people first. So I am not going to just say, like, this is what you need, you know. This is not a doctor's prescription.
You're not going to impose?
Never.
Yeah, it's going to come from there.
It has to. I have to have these interactions with people to hear what the women are saying from different communities, not just Khasi, Jaintia or Garos, but from Mizo, Bengali. There's so many groups, especially here in the urban areas. So we need to hear what they're thinking, what are their fears, what are their challenges, you know. Then we can talk sense, you know. Right. So that's a problem, you know, today, is that we kind of say that this is what we think. These are from your experience, but we also need to hear the conversation from the ground, you know, what people are saying. Then you can strategize. then you can kind of certain areas perhaps they might have a problem where, like, where children are having, I mean, there's more drugs and substance abuse kind of situation. In others it might be alcohol, some whatever. So from these different localities and districts and things like that, you know, then you can strategize when you know, okay, that is the challenge that they face. Then it makes more sense. You can't achieve all within 3 years that I'll be here, but I hope that we'll set the patterns in the trend, you know.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but then few of the problems that women face today are almost similar.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter from which background a woman comes from. And especially for this state, what is increasingly being realized is dropout from education, female especially, single motherhood, right? Then again, teenage pregnancies. These are issues which are very, very actually becoming bigger day by day. So are these some of the issues that you will also be taking up and you know, be
as you
focused
said,
more to?
it's there, it's obvious, you know, everybody knows that. But yes, we have to think first again from the context. What are the hindrances? What are the debilitating kind of factors, you know, that kind of keeps a woman in a limited space, you know? So we talk about that, you know. We talk about, I mean, let me start with this, okay? See, whatever affects the woman, whether it's the men around her, be it her father or her spouse or her child, you know, this affects the woman. What happens to the man affects the woman. What happens to the child affects the woman. So she is like in a vulnerable position, you can say, at the same time the potential to be empowered also from those the very fact that she has influence and is being influenced, you know. So I feel that, you know, what is happening around her, these eddy in her life, and depends on how you empower her to deal with these challenges. Like as you said, we can identify issues like, you know, education, and then you can identify early marriage and teenage pregnancy. We can identify alcoholism in the family and addiction, different kinds of addiction, and very important also culture, because mindsets are very also important, you know. The fact that, for example, if you ask a Khasi, like, I mean, being in the child rights also, we made a lot, you know, of people in the field, in the ground. And then, you know, one of the things that they say, like, when we tell them, why don't you practice family planning, for instance, you know? I mean, one should talk about condoms these days, one should talk about family plans, safe sex and everything like that, you know. These are taboo things, you know, but they need to be spoken out. And so a lot of women say, you know, it is the will of God, that you kind of thing. Like nobody says anything about your sexual activity. That is a different thing. But choices, you see, that's the thing that in different cultures, and I believe that's why it starts from the child, because the child is the seed of the woman. So if you teach the child to make life skill choices, you know, to make them say like no to this and yes to that, and to think, you know, that for example, a choice of getting married early, you know. I see this in my own society, that, you know, at early age of 14, you know, because they can't keep the child because it's too much of a financial burden. So I see lipstick, you know, they wear lipstick and like ready to kind of mate or whatever. I don't know. But then the thing, it frightens, you know, it frightens me. So the thing is that they say that it is God and we are a small population, you know. So there are many arguments for having that. If the man bears a child, no problem, but the woman has to bear it, no?
Absolutely.
And
so she's left behind often with so much of responsibility.
Prenatal care is not there, postnatal care is not there, and most of the time after 16 children, she's like worn out, she's withered, you know, and she dies early, and then it goes on. I'm sorry, I get more passionate with anything like that.
No, you must speak about it, because, you know, these are the issues that is bothering us. Another point that I want to bring out, and that is, you know, that there is still lack of registration of marriage. A man can walk away. A man can walk away, giving her so many children, and a woman is left behind with all the burden of raising. How unfair is this, madam?
Yeah, in fact, I forgot to say at the beginning that my hats off to all the wonderful women in the commission who has gone on before and brought down, you know, this is where it has arrived because of them. And so one of the previous initiative that has been taken by her former chair has been to bring about this there's like really serious conversation about registration of marriage,
Right,
you know,
right.
because if you don't do that, it binds, no?
Yeah,
It binds
yeah.
the man also. Perhaps that's his boundary that he needs. See, we forget that, you know. It's not just you have to empower the man also, no?
Right.
If we empower the man financially and in terms of responsibility and everything, you know, that goes with it, then he empowers the woman. We forget that, and so. I mean, this is like, it sounds incoherent to speak right now, but because in a limited time, obviously we can't do much. But then the thing is that, again, we go back to identifying these mindsets and culture. Culture is a what do they call it, taskmaster, you know, is a tyrant actually, sometimes. Because
You're so bounded by it
yeah, I
sometimes.
believe this. Good practices should always keep. If your chappal is still, you know, in good condition, don't throw it away. As somebody said once, you know. But then there are certain things which can be strengthened. We need to strengthen families and then relationships, because the clan was there, but now there's this weakening in the clan system. Maternal uncle is somewhere, working somewhere, and you know, so this cohesive kind of norms of social control also is like the
Right.
frequency of contact is not there, so they're weakening, you know. And because of that, you know, when there are no fences, when the fences are loose, then obviously cats and dogs and the cattle and everybody
Yeah.
can get in. No?
Absolutely, the family breaks apart.
Yeah.
And a family is, after all, a unit.
Absolutely. In fact, the core of everything, we need to go back to that. And that is a root, I think, that is all over the world. You see loneliness, you see the relationships, you know, that are this lack of commitment because of the fact of what the eddies of life, you know, they just
yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that is what is happening here also. The family unit needs to be strengthened. We're not talking about the past. We're talking about the future, that they need to know that they need stable kind of relationships. Nowadays, a lot of people are having more, you know, relationship with technology. You hear in Japan, they marry the idols, you know. So the point is this. The point is also socialization and values.
Right.
For your own survival, actually. Not because this is the way that you must do it, but we need to socialize kids that values, family is important. Sometimes it doesn't work out, that's okay, but at least you're committed to try. And also to nurture the kids of this generation, to bring them up in a way that they can make right choices. I wouldn't say right, but choices that are relevant and are useful to them at that time, you know. And in that way, when I'll give an example. You know, I feel very strongly about choices, you know, that we have not taught our children to make choices or to think for themselves, you know. For example, a mother, she would like, if she likes pink or green or whatever, she would insist to buy stuff for the child to wear that color, but never asking the child wants green or this when they come to that certain age, you know. So start young. What would you like? Even they frighten you to go out in public with some garish kind of color, but still you start by doing that, you know, small things. And then you teach them to be responsible adults. So a lot of problems, I think, come because parents don't have that.
Imposition is there too much, right?
Yeah.
And thereby a woman or a man also, I mean, from their early days, loses the ability to take the right decisions. Because at the end of the day, what matters is what decisions are you taking.
We don't give them
coming
that
back,
skill.
Coming back to another point, which is also getting a little scarier these days, is violence against women. I bring this because recently, you know, there's too much of moral policing, especially when it comes to women. What happened in Garo Hills recently to that lady, whatever she may have done, does the society have the right to do that to a woman? We never saw them doing anything to the man, but why the woman always gets victimized?
Yes, it has been there right from ancient times. But yeah, you brought in a point that we need to reflect a little bit. You see, that's what I was saying, that culture is like, it can become a tyrant. When I say culture and customs and so on, see, it was relevant then. The norms of social control, you're a small knit thing, and there's a family honor. Family honor is in various forms, even in Indian society and so on. But coming to this, I believe this, the tradition and custom has boundaries. When you cross the domain, you know, when you cross that domain, you come under, it's the law. The law will take cognizance, you know. So it's a domain of the law. So there's no two things about it. What comes under the law, consequences are there. Whether it doesn't matter whether it's your own father, your own mother, or whatever, you fall under the law.
Right.
Yeah.
And talking about the law, do you think there's more need now to actually make the woman that she has her laws are there? You know, she has her rights, that their laws are there to protect her. Do you think the Commission will take up such a role also?
They have been taking. I mean, it's an ongoing thing, you know, for both commissions, the child as well as the Women's Commission, is to make. I think I'd go further than just awareness, but to sensitize people, you know, about the rights and the laws. So yes, of course, you need to know. This gives a direction, no, to her stand, to her positioning herself, you know, in a place where she can empower herself by just knowing that there are laws that are in place that protects her. So that's why I think a lot of cases come to the commissions, you know, as well as, you know, they're more aware. Earlier, like, you suffer in silence. So having these commissions kind of help, it gives voice to, you know, people's sufferings, you know, in that way. And yeah, and these we need all those boundaries, we need these signs, and we need you know, these what would I say, kind of markers, you know, so that the direction of woman is there, whether in terms of education, in terms of sexual violence, or in terms of sexual harassment in the workplace. All these laws are there to kind of and also to kind of control over the men. By the way, there are men also who have always said, why don't you have a commission for women, because some of them are beaten up by the. I know we've had cases also in the past.
But then those are fewer. I mean, much fewer compared to what goes on with the woman.
It's about perception sometimes. You see, when you talk about violence, it's verbal, it's psychological, no? So I've talked to a lot of men. I've been in men's organizations also. I really don't mind whichever organizations, you know, but you need to listen to the guys also. What are they saying, no? Because their perception, see, what I believe is that there should be mutual respect. You know, I mean, it lessens the kind of conflict that people have, no? Because what are men having an issue about? That is something I hope that we can do research on, you know. What are they having issues? So maybe if we hear their voices, maybe we can protect the woman indirectly also, you know. Because if they're having issues of finance, for example, or they're having issues of disrespect, which is actually a perception, but it makes sense to them, you know, see. So I'm interested in that also, you know. Yeah.
And Madam, another issue, does the woman really have the power to decide for herself? Because when she is burdened with so many children, does she even have control over her own body? Yeah, she has a body, but who controls that body?
We have to talk about body and identity and about your rights about your own body. I'll tell you an example that kind of brought it all home to me, you know. So I was talking to this woman who had 16 children, out of which 4 died. And then one day she was there with her husband, and they're in the rural areas. So I said, have you gone to, I think they have a surgical kind of procedure or something, yeah. So I said, have you gone? I mean, your body is like, you know, wearing out and all that. And it was such a telling thing, you know what? She looked at her husband, she looked at him, and like, I can see that she was looking at him and waiting for his response. Then later, I got to know that, you see, women, if they live in the villages especially, you know, it's difficult for them to go even to a local, what do they call, CHC, PHC or whatever, because they don't have the money. Many of them don't have the money, and they have to take the, you know, the consent of the husband also, no, in that way. So then that means she doesn't have any power over her own body. Because of financial implications, so and sometimes the clan, like you have to have more kids, you know, that kind of thing. So it's not just the husband; it's a whole kind of thing.
Family,
so you need a supportive system that empowers the woman to say, like, okay, my body's had it, you know, I better do something about it, you know. And in any case, if the man feels that, oh, I earn only about 2,000 rupees and then I have to look after 10 children and they keep on coming, then the easiest way for him is to pack his bag and be like a nomad and go off somewhere, you know. And that is
Yeah. So what I understand is that at the crux is women's empowerment, economic, financial empowerment too. That is very important, so that she can then decide, even if she has to walk away from an abusive marriage or abusive relationship, she can have the power to do that, right? Because it is said that yes, we see in Meghalaya, women is empowered, but is she really so? Who is controlling the property at the end of the day?
See, having concepts and thing is a different thing. Working out the reality is a different thing,
Right.
So we have to see what is the reality. These are mental constructs sometimes, but then they are structures in plays and so on. But the reality is that the everyday man lives out his reality. When I say man, I say woman also, which is generic. But then they live out their realities every day. So how they choose, how they create patterns, that depends on every time we empower a child. We empower a woman also, the seed of that.
And then you empower a woman, you empower the whole society.
Absolutely, yeah. And like it's like when a woman, when we say empowered, actually, I feel it's we talk too much about empower, which frightens men actually. I talk about strengthening the resilience and the knowledge and the skill and everything of a woman. Then that is enabling. It's an enabling kind of thing for her. A most powerful kind of enabling tool for her is to get, of course, education is the most crucial thing like that. And to take her space, to take that territory which actually is hers, but which has been encroached by societal norms and so on, So it's important to give that woman that nurture that hope, nurture that knowledge, nurture that dream, nurture, dreams also. Yeah, we forget, a lot of women, they've lost their dreams because they feel that they're not able to. So I feel that when we nurture that spirit thing that is in there, then we nurture their mind, they get hope and get motivated. And then they can change the society, from where they are.
And it always works in partnership with a man.
Always, you can never do
it.
Exactly.
On that note, I wish we could go on and on. Actually, we should, because you are so gifted with your words that, and you
I'm sorry we went
that we can go on and on. However, so you are an individual. At the end of the day, you've been holding so many positions, even in the women's organizations, in the locality. Sink and Thay, etc. But when you go back home, how do you relax? What are your other skills? Maybe no.
Yeah, I scribble a lot. I write down my thoughts. I feel that, again, that is like the spirit self, we are body, mind and spirit. That's what I feel. So I think, for me, you're asking about me personally. I write, I listen to a lot of music, a lot of that, I tried a lot of things actually, but it didn't work out. And then the electric guitar, for instance. And there's so many things. I have friends, a whole load of friends, in organizations, and then I watch documentaries, and I have so many things. In fact, just before I took charge over here, I was going for photography. Wow. Seriously, I was ready to enroll in Don Bosco,
Wonderful.
So that there's 100 things to do. The only thing that doesn't come to my mind ever is boredom.
And it reflects so
many
in you.
Things.
It shows in you because you look so young. Nobody will ever say actually that you have actually retired. But
Twice.
On that note, ma'am, what I understand is that you have just taken up this commission. You have so much to do,
a lot of streamlining,
by going to the people that you said, listening to them, as you said, and then working along with them. As we are almost winding up this conversation, this lovely conversation that we had, what is your words of wisdom that you would like to share to all of our viewers, the men, the women, the children, everybody who are watching this program right now?
This is a difficult thing, It's like writing on your tombstone what you want a whole lifetime. But then, see, we're here with a mission. Everybody has an assignment, And the thing that we need to understand first is that we have to live in relationships. Men, women, children, we have to live in relationships. And there's so much stress, there's so much of issues around the world. And I think a lot of us, we fail on that. So if we begin to think that the only way to live, with all the stresses that we have, to minimize that, is to live as peaceably, which means like justice is a kind of peace. So if we try to bring fairness, gender fairness, irrespective of men, women, or whoever, if we try to live first at the level of the home and the family and level of society or wherever we are, then at the level of having conversations and understanding the world, then I think we can move towards that direction, where we can think of justice not as in terms of me and my, but in terms of we. And living in a planet, and especially with climate change, we live in such a fragile environment, social environment and physical environment. I think we should introspect and go deeper into ourselves, because we have that potential to be more than who we are. If we can only, I have only two things that I always ask God above, One is compassion. Without compassion, we cannot do anything. And compassion is a very strong word. It's the highest faculty of the mind. And another is wisdom. Without wisdom, we cannot make choices. We cannot do a whole lot of things. And gratitude and humility that we're still alive. If we have these things which are core to our human existence, then we can go a long way, to make our world a better place.
Absolutely, can't agree with you more. Wonderful. I mean, the way you spoke about it, those three essentials that we should all preserve, protect, and thereby make this world a better place for each one of us, because I think we all have a little space. Yeah. The world is big enough to fit all of us in. I wish you good luck as you proceed in this mission of yours, in this assignment of yours, as you call it. Lots of good luck, and may you continue to strive ahead with good health, and all our best wishes to you. Thank you so much for taking your time out of speaking to us. Thank you. Well then, my dear viewers, that was the chairperson of Meghalaya State Commission for Women for you in a one-on-one conversation. As you just heard, yes, she is Iamonlang MSCW. I hope you found this conversation interesting. Join us next time. And from the moment, and for this moment right now, from the two of us and all of us here in the background whom you can't see, well, we are taking goodbye and wishing you all the very best.